Hi everyone, today we are going to make a stir-fried eggplant which known as Batu Mojuwa in Sri Lanka. Today's recipe is an interesting one as I am going to show you how to do it as a two-in-one dish. Some of the things are in the recipe. I have listed them as optional, thinking it might be hard for you to find, especially if you are living overseas. But if you can, try to find them because everything adds flavor. If you are someone who's living overseas and passionate about authentic Sri Lankan dishes, some of the spices you can buy it either from an Indian grocer or a Sri Lankan grocer. First, I start with adding some oil into a frying pan to fry the eggplants. Remember, the pan should be nice and dry. If there's any water in the pan, the oil might start splashing onto your body. While the oil getting heated, you can start cutting the eggplant for the first recipe. For the first recipe, I'll be cutting the eggplant into very thin circles as it is easy for you to fry. And for the second recipe, we'll be cutting the eggplant into stripes and I'll show it to you later. This recipe was given to me by my sister while I was learning to cook, and then I have started adding more to it. Another tip how to know where your oil is ready. When you place your hand on top of the oil pan, you will feel the heat. Also, you can add a small piece of the eggplant and see whether it gives you the sound of frying. And if you get that sound, then you can start adding the rest. Here you can see I have used an open frying pan to fry the eggplants because it gives more room and it will start frying nicely. Remember to flip over the eggplants every 2 minutes by using a tongue until it becomes golden brown. Here is another tip if you want to cut all your eggplants in one go. You put little bit of turmeric powder and salt into a dish and then add water and make a small paste. There are two reasons to do this. If you cut all your eggplants in one go, it can get discolored later after a few minutes. So to stop that, you can add it into the turmeric water, and also it will give more color to the eggplant when you fry that. However, I never use this method, and end of this video, you'll be able to see both eggplants will be having the same golden color once it's fried. As mentioned, now you can see the eggplants have turned into nice golden brown, and then you know it's time for you to take it out and put them in a strainer. I must say, even though this is a yummy dish, it contains a lot of oil, so you have to take much as possible. And for the second recipe, I cut the eggplant into stripes because later on you can see in my second recipe I'll be adding some vegetables to it. Capsicum and onions and tomatoes. So when you add those, when you're mixing everything together, it's nice to see everything is in one shape. If you have dipped your eggplant in turmeric water, please be mindful to squeeze all the water out from the eggplant before you add it into the oil. As mentioned earlier, keep flipping your eggplants every 2 minutes until it becomes golden brown, and then you know it's time for you to take it out. This is the color that we are looking for, and if the eggplant turns into that golden brown color, then you can slowly start to take them out and place it in a strainer. Once the eggplant is fried, then you can either leave it in a strainer or a paper towel for the oil to absorb. Until then, I'll start to prepare the rest of the things that I need for my first recipe and the second recipe. And here, for the first one, I'll be only using the onions and I'll be cutting them into stripes. And if you want, you can use curry leaves and pandan leaf for the first recipe. That's all you need. And for the second recipe, you can cut the tomato, onions and the capsicum into cubes and then leave it aside on a plate, and then we can see how we do these two recipes separately. but the sauce that you use is one sauce, and that's where the magic happens. When we are learning to make new dishes, we always might come up with questions, even how clear we try to do the video. So if there's any, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you whenever I can. So as I mentioned earlier, this is where the magic happens. So I'm going to do the first batch of the eggplant only with onion, curry leaves and the pandan leaves. And for this I'll be using vinegar for the sauce, and then all the ingredients and the quantities are given in the recipe. And so I'm adding the mustard seeds, and then followed by the ginger and garlic and the sugar, and lastly you put a little bit of chili powder for your taste. Once everything goes in the pan, you mix it well and make the sauce out of that. Another tip, if you think the sauce is too thick, you can add a little bit of water just to make it a little less thicker. Here finally you can see that I'll be adding a little bit of cinnamon to it, and make sure that you mix this sauce in the very low flame. As it is vinegar, it's easy to get evaporated. Once the sauce is cooked for 1 to 2 minutes, then you can slowly start adding the eggplant. When you add the eggplant, make sure that you have to mix it really well with the sauce, and leave it for maybe 1 or 2 minutes before adding the onions. Here you can see the eggplants are well mixed with the sauce, and then you know it is time for you to add the onions and the curry leaves and the pandan leaves if you have. After you mix the onions, leave the onions, eggplants to get cooked in the stove for another 5 to 7 minutes, and then later after 5 to 7 minutes you can see everything will be turned into nice golden brown color. And here you can see eggplant, when you leave all the eggplant to a side, you can see all the oil drains out. So then it's time for you to take the eggplants into a different dish. Here for the second recipe, you follow the same steps as you followed for the first recipe. You add the vinegar first, and then ginger, garlic, mustard seed, mustard paste, a little bit of sugar, and then if you have the cinnamon stick, and then make the sauce out of that. Once the sauce is done, here you add the vegetables first, onions, capsicum and the tomatoes, because it's need to get cooked for maybe half a minute or a minute maximum. And once it cooked, then you can slowly start adding the eggplants to it. Once you add the eggplants, mix everything well together, and just as we did at the beginning, let it cook in a very low flame for another maybe 5 minutes. Now you can see all the colors are vibrant because we don't want to overcook it, and this is the right time for you to switch off the stove and to take the dish out. These both dishes are equally delicious, and the reason why I modified my sister's original recipe is sometimes in our busy lives it's easy for us to have everything in one dish and still enjoy our meal. So lastly, if you have enjoyed watching this video and if you think that you have learned something new, please subscribe and like my video. Thank you.